It is a surreal feeling when you finally decide to stop playing defense and simply lay the objective truth out on the table for everyone to see. For months, you might have been the person who absorbed the jabs, the passive, aggressive comments, and the subtle manipulations of people who thought they could keep you in a cycle of confusion forever. But recently, you reached a point where the noise became intolerable, and you chose to address the situation with a level of directness that nobody expected from someone as composed as you. By refusing to engage in the emotional theatrics that toxic people rely on, you effectively stripped them of their power and left them standing in a vacuum of their own making. It wasn't about being loud or aggressive. It was about being so undeniably accurate that there was simply no room left for them to maneuver or lie their way out of it. This shift from being a target to being the person who defines the reality of the room is a massive milestone in your personal growth. And the stunned silence that followed was the sound of a power dynamic shifting permanently in your favor. Watching someone realize they have absolutely no response to the facts you've presented is a deeply grounded and relatable form of victory for anyone who has ever been gaslit. Most manipulators are used to people getting defensive or emotional, which gives them the hooks they need to keep the argument going and make you look like the problem. When you chose to stay calm and present the evidence of their behavior with surgical precision, you essentially cut those hooks off before they could even land. They were looking for a fight, but what they got instead was a mirror, and the reflection was so clear that they couldn't find a single way to distort it. This lack of a rebuttal from them wasn't because they suddenly became good people. It was because you finally spoke a language of truth that their deceit couldn't translate. You stayed classy by not descending into name, calling, or petty insults, which made your final point even more devastating because it was rooted in pure, unadulterated reality. It is a moment of total elevation where you realize that the person you used to fear is actually just a small individual who relies on your confusion to feel big. There is a profound sense of clarity that comes with realizing you don't have to protect people from the consequences of their own actions anymore. You spent a long time trying to be the bigger person, which often just meant you were the one carrying all the stress while the toxic people in your life continued to act without any accountability. By finally drawing a hard line and speaking the words that everyone else was too afraid to say, you did more for your own mental health in 10 seconds than months of playing nice ever could have accomplished. This isn't about being a mastermind or having some complex dark strategy. It's about the simple, grounded act of refusing to participate in a lie. When you laid out the specifics of their manipulation, you weren't just winning an argument. You were reclaiming your own sense of agency and telling the world that your kindness is no longer a vulnerability. The silence that followed was the ultimate receipt of your integrity, proving that when you finally decide to stand your ground, There isn't a person in the world who can move you. If you look at the faces of the people who witnessed that exchange, you can see a mixture of shock and a new, deep-seated respect for your character. They saw a person who had finally reached their limit and handled it with a level of sophistication that most people only dream of possessing in high-pressure moments. You didn't lose your cool or break your stride. You just delivered the truth with a steady hand and then went back to your business as if nothing had happened. This ability to take it there without losing your dignity is what sets you apart from the people who just want to cause drama for the sake of attention. You are a strategist of your own life, someone who understands that the most powerful move you can make is to be the person who is most honest about what is actually happening. This has placed you on a different social level, where the toxic individuals now understand that trying to play you is a high-risk gamble that they are almost guaranteed to lose. You have effectively made yourself on mess with Abel by showing that you aren't afraid to look the truth in the eye and call it by its real name. The reality of your current situation is that you have broken the cycle of confusion that usually keeps average people trapped in dysfunctional relationships for years. By being the one to finally address the elephant in the room with such undeniable clarity, you have freed yourself from the mental gymnastics required to keep a toxic person happy. This is a very relatable form of self-improvement that focuses on the daily discipline of protecting your own peace at all costs. You've moved into a much larger role within your community or workplace, not because you sought power, but because you were the only one brave enough to act with total transparency. This is the grounded truth of being a leader. It's not about having a title. It's about being the person who is willing to say what everyone else is thinking, but is too scared to voice. You have elevated your reputation by showing that you can be both relatable and incredibly firm, a combination that makes you a force to be reckoned with in any environment. Looking forward, you can see that the social landscape around you has changed for the better now that you've shown you aren't afraid to address the dark parts of human behavior. You have effectively hacked the social system by being the person who doesn't need a group's approval to feel valid in their own perspective. This grounded independence is the only way to truly protect yourself from the manipulation and the toxic dynamics that are so common in the lives of average people today. You are the one they can't play because your eyes are wide open to the patterns of behavior, and your character is too well defined to be shaken by someone else's desperate attempt to stay in control. This self-mastery is the ultimate form of self-improvement, and it is what will keep you at the top of your game, regardless of what challenges the world throws at you next. You are moving into a future where your time is your own, and your reputation is a solid asset that nobody can touch, because it is backed by real actions and undeniable truth. Ultimately, you have learned that the secret to being unshakable is to stop looking for external validation and start trusting the reality of your own eyes and ears. By staying grounded in your own truth and the classy way you handle your interactions, you have created a version of yourself that is absolutely undeniable to everyone around you. They have no comeback because there is no argument against the truth. And that is a victory that you should celebrate as you move into this new chapter of your life. You won the game by being the most honest and attentive person in your own story, and the reward is a level of freedom and respect that you didn't even have to ask for. Think about the physical sensation of that moment when you realized they had nothing left to say, and the game was finally over. It is a feeling of lightness, as if a weight you've been carrying for years was suddenly lifted off your shoulders by the sheer force of your own honesty. You have reached a stage in your life where you no longer feel the need to apologize for having boundaries or for calling out bad behavior when you see it. This strategist mindset is what has allowed you to navigate the most complex social minefields and come out the other side with yourself, respect completely intact. You are moving with a level of precision that makes you look like a veteran of the game, even if you are just now starting to realize the full extent of your own influence. The people who used to try to manipulate you are now the ones who have to worry about how they are perceived, because you have set a standard for truth that they simply cannot meet. You have won the day by being the most honest person in the room, and that is a victory that nobody can take away from you. Most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid the kind of confrontation you just handled, but you've discovered that the truth is actually a much safer place to be than a comfortable lie. The individuals who are currently watching you with a new sense of awe are the ones who have realized that you aren't just another person who can be swayed by social pressure or the desire to fit in. You've shown them that your loyalty is to the facts and to your own values, which makes you a person of real substance in a world that is often superficial and fake. You don't need to join any petty cliques or engage in gossip, because your actions have already done the heavy lifting of proving your worth to everyone who matters. This is a very relatable form of elevation that comes to anyone who is willing to stay grounded and keep their feet on the floor while everyone else is getting caught up in the drama. You have won the war for your own peace of mind by simply refusing to be anything other than authentic, and the silence of your detractors is the greatest praise you could ever receive.